Welcome back. Well, as we were hearing a little earlier, we heard that the ACCC was delaying the Foxtel-Austar merger decision again. Let's just see how the media sector's performance on the share market reacted to that. Let's go now to Chris Weston from IG Markets.
Yeah, good afternoon, Bridie. Certainly, if you look across the space, one of the really interesting stories we looked at from a trading perspective was what happened with Austar. We saw the ACCC earlier in the week delaying the decision to approve the Foxtel takeover on the grounds to allow more time for submissions. The first reaction in the market was one to take this very negatively, and we saw the stock drop down to $1.08, down 7.7%. I think then traders decided, well, actually, no, we've got this completely wrong. The fact that they've got together is a process which is probably more remedial than anything there, and looking to try and iron out the differences with a view perhaps to try and get the deal across the line. As soon as we saw that, we saw people looking to buy into the stock, good volume coming in. The stock traded up to about, well, 120s, now 119.5. So it's up about 10% from those lows. And if you think the deal's going to get done at $1.52, then there's still plenty of upside there. But we're seeing a little bit of caution around these kind of levels ahead of what we're seeing at the moment. Also, Fairfax has been a very interesting stock. The second best performer in the media space over the course of the week is up 7%, trading around 83 cents. That's despite Nick Fairfax leaving the board, resigning off the board as director, which was probably expected given that the family have sold their 9.7% stake. Elsewhere, the woes continue for APN Media. The stock's traded down this week about 6 or 7%. It's traded to an all-time new low on Wednesday, down around 73 cents, taking out the previous low, which was on the 19th of August at 73.5 cents. We are seeing people looking to support at these levels, but the woes continue. The stock's down 62% year to date. It's the worst performer in the media space. Elsewhere, News Corp, despite all the trials and tribulations we're seeing with James Murdoch leaving the director as the UK newspapers, the stock's doing very well. It's taking big solace from the fact that the US economy, which most of its earnings are leveraged to, is growing reasonably well, and the stock's up about 3.5% for the week. So, yeah, different stories, but overall, most of them looking quite positive at the moment from a price action perspective.
Seven, as expected, has claimed victory in the 2011 free-to-air TV rating season, but its commercial rivals are warning they'll be making a dent in its revenue share next year. Let's go through the final numbers with James. James, obviously everyone declares they're a winner in some way or another, but this year, and unusually, because normally it's a bit of more of a closer race, isn't it? But
yeah, I mean, Seven's been well ahead all year. The other networks would probably report better performances in the key demos, but this time Seven really sort of beat everybody on pretty much all counts. Wherever you go, whichever way you want to cut and dice the figures, you sort of come back with a Seven win. It was actually their best year in total combined channel share since 2000, when of course they had the Olympics here in Sydney. So after the last 21 years, you say it's pretty much their best performance.
So looking at primary channel, Seven had what, 23%, and combined 31%.
Correct, yeah, yep. And then compares with Nine, which pretty much had almost their lowest total share, with 26.4 for their combined share, 19.5 for just their primary channel. You've got to look at both figures these days, because this was the first year where everybody had all their primary channels sort of out in the market after 11 was launched early in the year. Well,
speaking of the digital channels, how did they fare, and which were the most watched?
7/2's become the most watched channel. When Go launched, it was sort of quite, you can see the figures there. Go had an early sort of dominance when it first came out of the blocks, but 7/2, the sort of strategy's been sort of fine-tuned a lot by the programmers in the know at Seven, and a lot of English comedies, English dramas, appeals to a little older audience, 25-54, even pushing a little bit older. Does very well. Go's still pretty much as it was, a younger channel. 11's sort of done very well for 10, and it's been one of the things, if you see some stats, 10 saying, look, we didn't have that bad a year, our actual total audience is up. Well, it's sort of thanks to 11, if you like. Their primary channel went down a little bit, but 11's sort of a lot of that audience has shifted across to 11.
Let's have a look now at the most watched shows as well for 2011 on free-to-air, and Seven had 5 out of the top 10. Yeah,
it did fantastically well. I think the only one in the top 10 that's not Australian was Downton Abbey, so that's the shining sort of import, if you like. Australia's Got Talent, yeah. Every year it's been doing well for Seven, probably its best year ever. Packed to the Rafters, still performing so well they took it off before the end of the year, as we've talked about. Give it a bit of a break. They did the block fantastic business.
MasterChef, obviously it's done great numbers previously. Would this be a concern for 10, that the fact it's dropped
this year
down the
they'd be
list?
happy with it. They're probably worried about the franchise going into next year. We saw Junior MasterChef was definitely right off the boil, so 10 will be sort of carefully looking at how they manage that. They certainly won't want to sort of overkill. They'll be watching what they sort of program around it and really sort of nursing it through into 2012. But I'd expect it'll probably hold up reasonably well for them.
Overall, what are we seeing in terms of total viewer numbers? Are we seeing the total number decline, or is it just that there's more viewers
No,
on
I think
more
the total numbers
monitors?
actually probably up a little bit, thanks to those digital channels. Where there has been a fall is in those primary channels, and that's going to happen, more and more. And eventually, the networks want to hold their big shows for those primary channels to make that a big offering for advertisers, get the big ad dollars, the big audiences. But as the audience becomes used to all those other channels, I mean, just last week I heard people talking, oh look, I can't get this channel on my TV. Well, you can actually. It's just a matter of retuning or whatever. And then when the analogue's turned off, you'll just have only those channels. And if your TVs are tuned, away you go.
Interesting comments too that we've been having from the big bosses of all the commercial free-to-air networks about revenue shares for next year.
Sure.
David Leckie comments to the AFR thinking that 9 and 10 are dreaming that they're going to get the revenue share targets that they're looking at. What do you think? I mean,
yeah, I think it's particularly amused by 10's sort of claim that they, I think they were aiming for like a 30 or something, which is a big jump from where they are now.
which is what, about 27%? Is it revenue share?
Yeah, somewhere around there. But it's given on what we've seen so far with their program, you have to think that'd be a massive stretch for them to get there. But then everybody, you come across shows. Something gets pitched to you, you get it in production, get it on air. So, 10 might have some stuff that'll help their figures next year. But at this early stage, it looks like, from what we've seen on offer, it's, 7 first, 9 second, 10 third for next year. 9 have got some good stuff. They should perform a lot better. Their 7 p.m. slot, will really put the pressure on the other networks next year. But 7 will still be the one to beat.
Because David Gingler, I think, was quoted as saying he's looking at perhaps 37% revenue share given the Olympics. I mean, is that
Yeah, no,
pretty
that's,
lucky?
again, that's, I think 7 have probably got correct to shake their heads and wonder how they come up with figures like that.
Okay, let's just have a look at the ratings for this week, and there you can see the X Factor winner, or week 48, I should say, James. X
Yeah,
Factor
these
winner
are all
there,
the sort of last week of TV ratings, pretty much all the final episodes of all those shows getting into the top 5.
And just looking at subscription TV, the top 10 for week 48 there. Cricket
Yeah, we
again.
left all the cricket in this week. We didn't want to take it out 2 weeks in a row, but you can just see how dominant it is there on the platform.
And the cricket again featuring heavily on this page as well.
Yeah.
Just in some other news as well in the TV sector, well certainly the whole media sector I should say, Walkley Awards announced over the week. Who were the major winners?
Big winners, ABC again, always just fantastically well. It won 8, but Fairfax also won 8 awards this year, did very well. News Limited close behind them, just with only one behind them, in fact 7. Then SBS and 7 were the only other multiple winners. With 2 each. 10 won 1 Walkley, then the rest went to sort of some independents. Little magazine like Adelaide Hills picked up a Walkley Award, a little magazine, an independent over in Adelaide.
Interesting though, one of those Walkley winners, Hungry Beast, isn't going to be coming back.
No, I think it's 3 series it's won for. The Zapruder's and the ABC said this week, look, it's had a good run, we won't be making any more programs. Monique Schaff, the one actually won at Walkley this week for TV current affairs reporter for her work on that show. But it's fascinating, they listed the ABC this week 19 reporters and producers they've had working on that show. The idea was to give people a start in the media, and these people have all gone on to amazingly diverse careers within the sector.
Now, also, speaking of awards, the ACTA Awards, this is the old AFI Awards, basically,
Sure.
announcing their nominees.
Yeah, they used to give these awards out very early December. They've rebranded them. They're called the Actors now. They're going to give the awards out in January. The nominations came out this week. It's again a mix of movies and then TV awards. Big movies are Red Dog, The Hunter and Eye of the Storm dominated all the movie nominations. The big things in television were The Slap and Cloud Street.
One to watch, obviously.
Sure.
And now a news of a big appointment for Fremantle as well, a new head of drama.
Joe Porter's come on board as a director of drama for Fremantle Media. Fremantle Media see that as, look, one area perhaps they've underperformed a little bit. They've had a fantastic year in reality, done very well, still got Neighbours into its 27th year, so still chugging along very nicely. It's the #1 show on the digital platform every night of the week. But they think, look, Joe's got an amazing background, All Saints, Always Greener, packed to the rafters, so she's coming over there. I don't think she starts till early next year when she works out a time at 7. But they some talk this week. Look, she's got some interesting ideas she might bring across. So expect to see some action there next year.
Just some news as well in the publishing arena. The Australian, the Wall Street Journal have renewed their licensing agreement.
Yeah, absolutely. Both part of the News Corp group, family, if you like, so no real surprise there. They're unlikely to sign with anybody else for this market, but they renewed their existing agreements, and there's a few new things that the Australian will be able to get their hands on, both for multi-platforms, for online, tablets and in the newspaper.
And the Herald Sun has lost its chief football writer.
Yeah, Mike Sheehan's retired. Amazing career, started off at the Sunday Age, then the Herald Sun for a long time. Chief football writer, a massive role to fill on what is Australia's sort of biggest selling weekday newspaper. So a lot of speculation about who might replace him, but we don't know yet.
James, as always, thank you so much.
Thanks, Bridie.
And that's all we've got time for this week. Thanks for your company.